Hello, Esther.
Hey, how are you doing, Fee?
I am doing so well. Esther, we got a lot of things we need to get into today. It's going to be easy breezy,
Yes.
but it's some of the things that I think all of us are wanting to know.
Yeah.
So we'll dive right into it and let's talk about it. Before the artistry, before the clientele, who is Esther Lewis at her core? And how has that foundation shaped everything we see today?
First and foremost, and people laugh when I say this, Esther Lewis is a child of God. First and foremost, primarily. But I will say that I had great parents who have passed, and they raised us to work hard. What I do know is that many years during college, I truly would look to the future and thought that I was going to go to med school. But that was a no. And that was a hard thing for my dad, especially to accept that I didn't want to go the med route. And what's so funny, I just remembered him always telling us, always keep God first and he's going to guide your footsteps. But parents who pour into their kids outside of faith still want them to go on the track record of what they want,
Absolutely.
They still have that selfish part. And so I remember having that conversation with God that was not my calling, and my heart ignited with artistry. And that came with my mother, being a breast cancer patient, putting just a little lip gloss, a little blush on her, a little mascara, and seeing her reveal after chemo and her crying, what ignited in her, knowing she knew her identity already, but polishing that surface for her, it lasting effect on my heart, imprint. But I do know that when I was going through and navigating not wanting to go to med school, having my dad and I not talk for months.
Wow. It was that serious that
when I tell you,
okay,
did not talk to me,
but making your mom beautiful in that canvas, that live canvas, it did something to you.
100%. At 13, I will never forget it. At 13 in the bathroom. And then, if you think about it, cancer patients, especially after going through chemo, you lose hair,
Absolutely.
You lose so many different features of their everyday things that we take for granted. You now see falling apart with radiation and chemo because they're strong medications. And for her to even have the strength she knew I loved everything lip gloss. You think about when we grow up, we go to the supply store, we get that lip gloss, we get a little 1-2, and we think we're all that with a little powder. But seeing her face, I knew that was going to be something part of my future.
Okay.
But I do know, like, when I was going through school, I was failing classes. I was failing. I loved biology, but chemistry I could not get.
So you were failing med school.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't even get to med school.
Because it wasn't your passion, that was, if it's not on the course that God has us, that will happen.
100%. I dropped out of chemistry so many times. And that's just Chem 1. But how it circled back and knowing what my gift and how God called me to be in the ministry that I'm in right now, because I do 100% believe that my business is ministry.
I love that.
It is crazy because I had to take chemistry again in aesthetics.
Okay.
There was a chemistry part, there was an A&P part, anatomy and physiology, because if you think about dealing with the skin, as an esthetician, we are a step before a dermatologist. So we do have to know the medical part. And so I remember when I got to that chapter, I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I failed and I can't believe it. But God really, really, really got me through. And that just shows you when you are, obedience is just better than sacrifice.
Absolutely. When you listen, not just to your ego.
Right.
I did a post the other day about ego versus God.
Right.
You have to listen to yourself. Well, when you think about your journey, what is the moment when you realize you were no longer just doing makeup, but stepping into your purpose? Was that when you did that for your mother? Was that the purpose moment?
Yeah, 100%. And the pivot of that. So if you think of from 13 to 18, of course, grade school, junior high, high school, you're graduating, you think you know your 4-year plan, especially when your parents are like, what do you want to do? Even though they kind of have a preface of what they want you to do. Some parents do, some parents don't. My dad definitely did.
Okay.
And for him, it was my mom and him had a plan for us because coming from Haiti, being a poor country, they worked very hard to come to the States. My dad had to go to dental school again. My mom had to go nursing school again. My dad got his doctorate, master's in dental. My dad was a director of a huge, huge department at Mount Sinai in New York.
So your father was a physician.
Yeah.
He was a dentist.
He was a dentist.
And what was your mother? What was her profession?
Nurse practitioner.
Wow. So
Both
you
went to
came from
NYU.
a strong medical background.
Huge, yes. Like my all aunts and uncles, majority on both sides, doctors, nurses, engineers, directors over some department. And Mount Sinai is a huge hospital. It's like USA here.
Okay.
Huge hospital in New York. So over the department of 10 hospitals, like that's huge. Like my dad was very proud about that.
With that being said, you come from a Haitian background. Were you born in Haiti?
Yes, and also mainly raised in New York, though. So I only saw a glimpse of Port-au-Prince.
But that's okay. You were born in Haiti.
Yeah.
But then what part of okay, so you do know, I mean for the people,
yeah,
that by heart,
yes,
I'm a Yankee Southerner.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love everything about New York. So your background is New York.
all day. Up until like my senior year. Yeah.
New York. What part?
The city, Harlem, Brooklyn, literally.
And you're here in Alabama. How did that happen?
My parents, they were going to retire here. My sisters went to University of West Florida. I have two sisters that are twins. They're 6 years older than I am.
Okay.
They went to University of West Florida, and they had a family friend from Haiti that were like, first off, Haitians love Florida. That's their thing. But you think about the islands is close to Miami.
Okay.
So that's a thing for them. So my parents were going to go somewhere in Florida there. But we call her Auntie, but Auntie Jacqueline, she technically was like, oh, you love Pensacola. It's in between, beautiful area. You love Mobile or Spanish Fort. My parents built a house ground up in Spanish Fort.
Your mother and father built a house here in Spanish Fort.
Ground up at Stillwater. Stillwater was a neighborhood.
Okay.
And my dad definitely was he mourned my mom because she only got to see like 2 months of it.
Okay.
And so at that point I had started college. My sisters were graduating from University of West Florida. We just really thought our plant was going to be here.
Okay.
And so outside of that, when that happened, I mean, for 15 years, my dad mourned my mom.
15 years he lived without her. How did your father and when did he pass?
He passed back in 2021. His heart stopped. And so every time he would talk to me, I looked just like my mom. He would cry. He would cry. And he ended up moving back maybe right before COVID. He moved back to New York right before COVID. So 2018-ish, I was still in school and I did not want to transfer credits. But that was the pivot point when I was like, ugh, I don't want to do med school. And we did not talk for months. Like
I bet that was difficult though.
100%. Because for him, he was like, I just want to bring to fruition what your mother worked hard for.
Because that generation and even my generation, we want, yes, makeup has taken a life of its own. You know, artistry has taken a life of its own. But it is true to say that when you think of profession,
right,
our generation or my parents' generation don't think of that as a living. That's a hobby.
Right.
And where artistry is now, you went to school. I noticed that you always pride yourself on being a licensed pro artistry.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How is that? That is something that you pride yourself on. Why? Not just because of the degree, but why?
Well, it's because it goes back to who is Esther prior to, like, before I even found and really locked in with Christ. So locking in with the Lord and literally allowing him to speak through me via the Holy Spirit and telling me this is what your plan, this is the plan that I have for you. I always knew that whatever I had to do, I had to work hard. Like, I knew that even though our parents, my sisters always tell me, oh, you saw the fruits of mommy and poppy. Mm-hmm. You know, basically they saw the struggle into the fruits. I kind of cast the glimpse of the struggle.
They had already made it.
They already made it. And so I was working in the fruits, but our parents always told us, like, we worked in our dad's office. Like, nothing was handed to us. And so part of that is prior to him leaving, thank God that me and him had a conversation where I was telling him I wanted to go into aesthetics. And he was like, you know what? I'm leaving in God's hands because you're right. You have to do what God calls you to do. And that's how I raised you all. And so for him to see that, he was like, I see the hard work that me and your mother put and placed in you. I don't take anything from anybody who works hard from ground up. And part of that is when you have your degree, you have your license, which I have all three. Mm-hmm. You can't take anything from anybody because you know the roots. You know, for somebody who just gets on the bandwagon and then to just make it because they have a connection, you know, I'm not one to take away from somebody networking. No.
Because there is some great skill sets out that have not went through those channels. You know?
Exactly.
And so how do you feel about that, though? They haven't went through those channels. They didn't get it the way you got it. My way of success wasn't the traditional way.
Yeah.
It took me 15-ish years to finally get my degree, but I was already established. I was already making an income that could sustain our family,
Right.
that, you know, met my husband's income.
Right.
And we were okay.
Right.
So it was really me versus me. It wasn't what anyone else had going on, but that's still something that I wanted. What do you say to those beauty professionals or the artistry world today that are very skilled, that are doing well, yet don't have their degree or have not went to esthetician school?
So, okay, so there's 2 to 3 avenues in this, and I had to do this as a preface. So, dialing back, so my parents came out here to retire, right?
Okay.
And so my sisters were in Pensacola, UWF. I also went to a school called Pensacola Christian Academy, and did my 7th grade up until like the 9th grade year there, because they wanted me to get acclimated because they knew they were going to come down here to retire.
Okay.
And so then we went back. Then I came on back. And so part of that was my dad always told me during that time frame, because I was by myself. My sisters were pretty much my sisters were watching me, and also Pensacola Christian Academy has a college affiliated with it, and so there's a boarding system for people who come out of the states or country to stay on the campus of the college and can still attend the Christian school. 5,000 students, huge school. Okay. And so my dad and my mom would always tell me, Esther, anything that you want to do, never ever forget that nobody can take your degree, your license from you, because that will be the forefront before they even see you.
Okay.
And so that always
stuck with you.
That always stuck with me, especially because even through my mom going through chemo treatments, she still was teaching. She still was nursing. And I remember before people even saw her in her health state, they looked at her resume.
So that speaks to why you pride that. That is something that's been taught. And that's been something that's been instilled in you through your parents and passed down.
Yes, and though, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I also would say, even if my parents did not teach that to me, I still would value that, because it's a beautiful feeling, even though if you don't go the traditional route, because technically I didn't go the traditional route either. I finished later getting my degree at South. I finished and found, aesthetics later in life, when I connected the dots and truly listened to the Holy Spirit. But it's a feeling when you get that degree and certification that it's almost like it unlocks another level.
It does.
It unlocks another. And the ones who do not have the degree or license, hear me when I say, I think it's important for people to know the root and the standard. People who are not licensed have a niche. There's some people who just have a niche and they're really good at this one thing. There are a lot of times that I even on a movie set that I had to teach somebody a simple cover-up for bruising.
Okay.
And they didn't even know the root of color theory. If you're an artist, an orange color corrector is not the only color corrector for something that's bruised, but you have to understand the tones.
You have to know.
You got to know.
The dynamics
otherwise,
of everything.
Literally. Otherwise, you're going to start navigating and piling up product or just things to get to the point. Whereas if you knew the generic standard behind it, you can skip all that. If you think about it, that is why people, when they watch YouTube, they watch social media, they think they have to do 18 steps to get to a look.
When you can skip some of those steps if you had the fundamentals.
If you had the fundamentals. And a lot of people do not have the fundamentals. And because they're creators and they're creatives, they can do things that work best for them and people that look like them. But how many artists out there that and even estheticians that do not work on multicultural people?
Here's the next question. I was just about to ask that, because I am big into multicultural services.
Yeah.
I like a multicultural stylist. I like a multicultural makeup artist. Right. And all the things. How important is that? Because I want to say something. I got to be careful saying this. Although we seem very integrated, there is still separation there.
You talking about here in the city?
Here in the city.
Oh, 100%.
We are not, because it's not a lot of multicultural diversity.
No.
Okay. We don't have a lot of that here. And what we do have here is scarce. And how does that play a factor in your industry? Because you come from New York.
Yeah.
You have a wide, vast melting pot.
Yeah.
Of everyone, which is a big thing. And That's the reason the Elevation Edit is here. That is
Right.
the reason FS Lux is here,
Right.
because we want that diversity. We have stylists, makeup artists that have their own brands
Right.
that can do multicultural services. How does that feel with the demographics being a lot smaller for you here?
I will say the reason why, one, so coming out of school, working for MAC Cosmetics, I used to work for MAC. Prior to MAC, I used to work for Chanel, which is a luxury brand. And, you know, Chanel offers all the things, purses, perfume, and they have a beauty section. So at Dillard's, used to work at Chanel. Then I moved to Lancome, also a luxury, predominantly Caucasian or light to fair and medium complexion. And now they do have deeper complexions that are all speaks to all complexions, right? But when people think of those brands, it is the light, fair, medium complexion before you even think about the dark complexions. And I will say I always was taught and also knew to always present yourself as the same thing that you wanted to service. So
Absolutely.
my biggest thing is I am my walking brand. So yeah, I'm going to have my makeup on. Even if I don't have super glam, I'm going to have my skincare pushing through my makeup that you can truly see all the things that I provide as a service. I will say whenever I serviced any client that did not look like me, that was a multicultural, diverse complexion that was lighter, it was the confidence that I had.
Absolutely. You knew who you were and you knew
Yes.
your skill set.
I knew my
And
skill
you
set.
walked confidently in that.
Walked confidently. And granted, yes, I had my natural talent, but the training that I received from Chanel and Lancome, I will never take away from them because it was great. Also transitioning to MAC, being with MAC as a company for 10 plus years, amazing training as well. And they also service diverse clientele.
Nice.
And so I will say grasping and strengthening my skill set was through these brands. And I was thankful for that because as I grew and as I understood how to service people, understand their skin, and MAC was really, actually all of them, but MAC was really one of the reasons also that I pushed to get my license in aesthetics because all skincare, all artistry brands were big on skincare as well, believe it or not. And so a lot of times when people just thought MAC, they thought it was just makeup. But no, they are big on skincare, especially how things have innovated and transitioned. And so part of that was being very confident. I don't think that I would have been in leadership and management for so long if I wasn't so confident if my experience that I provided to the clients, the results that they got the experience because I treated them like a person.
Wonderful. I love that. And that matters. My first career is healthcare. It's nursing, of course. And I did not hone into our culture until the beauty industry.
Right.
Because I was centrally in healthcare. So I know what you mean. That matters. When you are confident in what you're doing and when you can service everyone the same
Right.
and walk into that amplifies your brand and what you do and your expertise.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, really quick. I will say, so sorry. I will say being present in what I visually, how I presented myself, and, you know, anybody that was truly Caucasian or multicultural, they were like, oh, you're so pretty. And it unlocked with the experience and how they saw me aesthetic wise. I wonder if she can do my face. Like, I wonder if she is well versed. And a lot of them, because I treated them with a great experience, they were like, you know what's going to hurt?
Right.
And from then, I will say from one great experience, they told mom, sister, whatever, and it brought word of mouth. We all know will spread like wildfire, whether positive or negative. But 99.9% was always positive.
That is really amazing. What is something about your journey that people would be surprised to know, something you've never shared publicly?
About my journey?
Yes, about your journey.
Lord mercy. This is funny.
Okay.
It just popped in my head.
Okay.
For all my good friends who are listening. During college, because my father cut me off. Yeah, because when I told him I was not going to med school, he was like, all right. Cut my phone off to only, also part of the reason I could only talk to him and my sisters. He was so mad at me. He was so mad at me. Oh, AT&T was like, hi. I was like, oh, my phone isn't working. And they were like, yeah, are you under Dr. Robert Pierre Lewis? I was like, yeah, that's my dad. And they were like, yeah, so he has a restriction on your phone. He called this morning. The day I talked to him and told him that, he said, oh, okay.
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 So this is what you want to do
This
on
is
my dime?
On my
These
dime.
are the people that you talk to.
My sisters called me laughing so tough. Christina, you remember that? Oh, I was so sad. I was so sad. And I remember I was like, oh, I'll show him. And because he cut me off, everything finance, by the way, everything.
yeah.
But I had to work 2 to 3 jobs. That's why a lot of people knew me at the mall before I got to dealers, and then before I got to Matt. I used to work at Aeropostale, aka Aeropostale. I used to work at Proactive Booth. I used to work at Hourglass.
It builds structure, honey.
It's structure.
The cutoff builds structure.
And during that time, is another thing that a lot of people don't know.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What is
my extra job just for a small time? My arms still recovered. I used to get plasma. Wow.
Baby, let's talk about it. Listen.
No, I used to give a little
People
plasma.
do not believe all the things that we have to do, but you could have been given something else. So plasma not that bad.
No,
Plasma.
And I could go 2 to 3 times a week. You know, I had good blood. No, I had good blood.
Was it this arm?
It was this arm. No, it was this arm. It was this arm. Yeah. No, yeah, I used to give a little plasma.
Okay, so I met you at the Mac counter, but I can truly say
every time.
that is one thing that I didn't know, but I love that for you.
The
plasma. But they say they pay good.
They did. You see how that changed up real quick. By the mall they had a little place. Okay. I see a new center on Mont Lamar. Yeah.
So when you pass by, needless to say, you feel it. You remember. Yes. It brings back memories.
That paid part of my rent, because you think about, and I also flunked out of my financial aid.
Real talk.
And so I had to struggle. Like, I literally was 2 to 3 jobs. My third job, I used to do hair on campus, dog. Like, it was a real thing.
But people don't realize that you can see me in this place right now, but you don't know the things that I've been through. Right. Some of the things that one day, you saw me in the parking lot. I'm talking big bubble. I was like, hey, by the time I hit those steps, I was like, hey guys, how are you?
Yeah.
We wear so much on our shoulders, not just as professionals and entrepreneurs, but as women.
Right.
So behind the polished brand and success, are there any internal battles that you've had to overcome throughout your journey? I know you went through your parents.
Yeah.
Plasma's pretty bad. Plasma's.
19 to 23. I was definitely giving plasma.
But is there any other real internal battles that we don't see? When you're stroking and we're your canvas, we don't see those things because we pocket them. We store them. Is there anything internally that Esther has to battle on a daily when she gets up, looks in that mirror, makes sure Mufasa's went out? You have
He's so bad. He's so bad.
That you have to go through.
Yeah.
We go through so much. I'm not saying that other cultures don't.
Right.
But when we have went through it, to say that I have been in that plasma line, you could be selling plasma. You know, it'd be one of the one's legals, one's not. But that's a lot. That is a lot. So I think that I don't know, but I would have to say, if I was looking down, I would know that your parents would be very happy to see that your integrity, to see that your drive, your fun loving, the Esther that I saw 10, 15 years ago coming to the Mac counter with that brush, and I'm like, please put it away.
She's horrible.
I did not want to touch
my
face.
Now, but she was horrible. She was horrible.
I was like, do you know how to do makeup?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not. It was to see now, the brand, the business, and the person that you evolved into has been amazing. And that's all God. And I know that you always talk about your spirituality too. And without that, we will lose ground.
Right.
We'll lose traction. We'll lose sight. Yeah. And then we start listening to ourselves. And that's when trouble starts.
And part of that too is my dad died 2 days after that I got, it was a day after. Yeah, he died 2 days after I got the locked-in portion of my license for aesthetics. And so that was so hard for me because I was so excited to share it with him. and boom. So it was a travesty. And so I don't live on because my grief in the beginning of that was really, really tough. And as we know, grieving for anything and all is just a lot. So thankful we're at the place where I'm at right now. But when I think about that, I'm like, man, and you think about things transitioning off and birthing of new things. And at the end of the day, everything that I do is to glorify God, and then God primarily. The angel part of it and the extra kicks of it is just thankful.
And I know this is so authentic because I remember when you first started and we celebrated your birthday, you were devastated.
Yeah.
You were literally, you weren't happy. You weren't sad, but you were devastated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. And Jew, she and I talked, and you told me, well, she told me, because the passing of your father and your mother, you didn't really celebrate your birthday. And I said, I know that they're in heaven and they want us to do this. So because I'm a birthday junkie, honey, if you are around me and it's your B-day, we're going to do some things. So I respected it, I hope.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to celebrate that because I know that they would want you to live. Right. They would want you to celebrate those things. So once again, I know your parents are looking down, very happy. Your family was established. They were known. They did a lot to come over from Haiti to the United States and build the family that they did with 3 daughters, beautiful daughters. And you're here in Mobile instead of New York, but it's okay. That is okay.
You just tell me all the time, like, you don't want to move back.
Right.
Part of that is my business and brand outside of when I left MAC and went full entrepreneurship with Esther Lewis Artistry, ELA, was the fact that homegrown, the support is here.
Isn't it good?
It's beautiful.
If it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
If it is good, it's good. The people like what they like. And I tell you what, we rally around our own. We rally around all, but we really rally around the ones that we support. And I can contest to that for being here, going on our 6th year. They have shown us so much love in this. It's going on 6 years.
That is wild.
And the city has been good to us. They have our day ones are still our day ones. Our pop-ups are still our pop-ups, but they're consistent and we love it.
I love that.
Yes. Okay, Esther, what did you have to unlearn about yourself in order to truly elevate? And what did elevation cost you? What did you have to unlearn and put aside to go and to become what you are today?
I would say that even locked in most recently, actually. I had to unlearn that how I am and how I was raised, not everybody was raised like that. So how I treat people, how I wouldn't do this to somebody.
How you show up.
How I show up and be present for people, regardless if I knew you close by. Or close. I would say the reason why ELA has 500 plus clients that get 2 services on average a year.
That's a blessing.
Is a huge blessing. Is because customers, I treated you correctly, but I realize people that go through traumatic situations in their own whatever upbringing or whatever relationships they have as an adult is definitely an indicator of how they treat people, where they're guarded. So I've had people share like, she can't be that nice. She must have something, behind her. It's fake. Mm-hmm. Why is she always happy? Oh, I'm sorry that I love the Lord and he heard my cry. Like, I'm sorry. But I realized that people are not, and I was in a box mind.
Let's talk about it, because you know what? I think that so many people now live with, and I'm not going to say too much on it because we'll be talking about it in the Break the Code seminar. Mm-hmm. So many people live under the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
They're so used to living a lie that when someone's living their truth, they got to try to find fault in it.
Yeah.
They have to try to dig holes in it. They have to try to dismantle what really is happening for their own self-gratification.
Right.
So I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
You can what?
I can relate to that.
No, you can't.
Yes. Esther, before we get to this very last question, is there anything that you want to ask me? Is it anything that I said that I would not do this again after Coco.
I mean, you done Coco me. You done Coco. Shout out to Coco. You done Coco.
I did.
Wait, so there's another question after I ask my question?
It's after you ask your question, it's one that we're going to close this out with.
God.
The people want to know us.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We must do it.
Okay, so I will say what I have noticed being the fact that I had to unlearn that people won't treat you like you would treat them.
Okay.
And that there are people who really just have a different mindset and think, that just be chatter.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed and what I'm thankful being part of FS, being one of the stylists, estheticians, licensed pros here, that there are a lot of people who sit in my chair.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who sit in my chair, a lot of people who know you and Duke,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who I'm not from here.
Mm-hmm.
So normally I have to get the raps, the background
Mm-hmm.
on who's who. And that could just be the fact that, that's such and such cousin. That is a customer that used to go and walk into Mac, because people think that I know everybody and I don't see you guys anymore on an everyday. So I don't know everybody's name. But I do feel like outside looking in, I see actions of certain people who I feel like try you. And I'm just being real. And here's the thing, hear my heart. I don't care who's watching, because one thing people don't know about me, they've always seen the happy-go-lucky Esther, and that's a real thing. That's authentic and genuine, but I'm not fake either. I will 100%. If I don't like you, I will unfriend you.
Right.
If it's a 1-2, I will block you.
Right.
I have and Judy and all my best friends hate to see me when I in this part.
Well, that's real.
Because but I can't. If I know that you're talking about somebody or whatever, being fake, I cannot be in your face because that would make me fake.
Right.
Now, it's one thing if you could say whatever you're about to say to the person in front of you. So
Right.
it's a 1-2, that's
Mhm.
fine. But if you're being just not as authentic or genuine, I just see certain things when we're out in events or whatever. And I'm
So
like,
you
why
see
is-
that in regards to Sabrina and I. You see that in
Yes.
regards to
I had heard really quick. I heard literally one person who came in this shop, serviced her once, and name will go unnoticed, and there's no shade. Lovely person who had shared with me that she did not. I said, oh, in my mind, did not know if she knew you or Sabrina. I'm like, yeah, the owners, the F&S stands for Felicia and Sabrina,
Right.
Felicia Bagsby, Sabrina Sarfin. They're the owners, and they're giving the whole history. And she's like, oh, that's nice. I was like, yeah, and you would, now I will say, out of her mouth, she never said that she did not know you all.
Mhm.
However, you would have thought
Her reaction.
Her reaction never knew. And I pointed to you guys' picture down there. She's like, oh, they look so lovely. She's like, yeah, I never knew that this place was here. Now, she did say that. I never knew the place was here. That could be a real thing.
Well, you know what? I think that is a real thing. A lot of people think it's a luxury furniture place. A lot of people think that it's just a different type of business, and I get that because of how we're set up with the shadow boxes,
Mhm.
the windows. You don't know. When it comes to the attempt of playground play, I will say the attempt. That never stands any ground. You have to really know Felicia
Mhm.
to know that can't happen. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's truly impossible to happen, because even if you don't know me per se, you know my husband.
Yeah.
Even if you don't remember Sabrina, you played in the bed with her. You know what I mean? You've been to her parents' house. You know, even though both her parents have passed now,
Mm.
Sabrina grew up in Pritchard.
Right.
She went to John L. LaFleur,
Right.
one of the most popular schools here in Mobile, Alabama. So, was she one of the maybe popular girls? No, but she was damn sure one of the smart ones.
Right.
So, Sabrina, have we changed? Yeah, I mean, I used to be Felicia. You saw the picture. You saw you saw the picture. But in all the things, I haven't changed, nor has Sabrina changed. So when that happens, that's the them part. Once again, that's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that when they know their story.
Mhm.
And they're afraid that you're going to tell their story versus it being
Give me their story again.
Their story. Versus
Their
that
story,
it being
their
that
story,
we-
their story.
Their story. Versus it being that you've grown, we've
Yeah.
matured, and this is where we are in the space.
And
I
I think
wish
it's
all of us
crazy.
well. I wish all of us well. I hate that is a thing, but I'm in a place that it doesn't bother me. I'm okay if you do or you don't.
Right.
I'm okay reintroducing
Mhm.
at any time. I'll give you a reintroduction,
Yeah.
and if you knew that, Felicia, and you're not aware of this one, I can reintroduce. It doesn't matter. It's whichever one you want to meet.
I just want to give you your flowers, though. I think you
Thank
and
you.
Sabrina are amazing. I think what
Thank
y'all
you.
doing are amazing. For the people who are whatever, because I have seen a slide shot. I just keep my mouth shut, but I've seen a slide shot like, no, that was fake. And then I just keep it moving because it's not, I don't know history. It's none of my business. And I know there's a lot of history back here that everybody else knows that I don't know. And people forget that I'm not from here. So I don't be knowing nobody's business. But what I do think is very crazy is you all are doing so many amazing things the fact that you got people spying.
Thank you.
That's wild. Just do your part.
But you know what? I thank God every day because without the spies, our view count and algorithm will be off. So I want them to keep that must continue. Now, if they stop after this, I'm gonna be mad with you, Esther. They must continue. I love all of that because all of that keeps us going. Right. And everything that we do is God's will.
Yeah.
I don't want anything that's not his will. I don't want anything that is not his purpose. I have tried a lot of things Felicia's way.
Yeah.
And when I say he come through like Katrina through me, it's, girl, I had to stop. I had to lie down what Felicia wanted and start doing what God wanted. Now, I won't say that those voices sometimes, it sounds like
let me see the voices.
Voices. I get confused. I'm like, is this him? Is this me? Is this him? Is this me? Is this him? Is this me?
That's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And then that's when I have to get in the spirit and say, is that you, Lord? But I know because it doesn't feel stressful.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel heavy. God is light. He's not drama. He's light. And that is when I know that's when I know it's him. That's when I know that it's painful, but it's him. Yeah. The last question, Esther, that I got to ask, we the people must know this. Let me
see it.
Esther, you are all the things. You're checking off all these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Graduate.
Yes.
Pro makeup artist, esthetician, professional.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
What your man? What does love look like for Esther? What does love look like for Esther?
Well, it's so funny. I have a celebrity calling me. I must go.
No. Oh, what does dating look like? Do you want to date? Are you dating? What does that look like?
I am dating. But
for real, Esther?
Yeah, it's let the best man win. And part of that is what I realized in this city, for real, is you have to be careful. You got to vet them. Because you have trifling people out here.
That's not just the city, baby.
I mean, yeah, let's
talk about it. That's
global.
Just not the city. Thank you, Lunduke. I love the tanking man.
Shout out to bro. And I love to see the people that are in my life that are married, that truly, I know that's not perfect. And also they're vulnerable enough to share like, hey, it took work, but I'm thankful for what it looks like. Goes back. I saw a great example. That matters. I know that everybody does not have that chance to see a great example with their parents being together. You know, parents that were of faith, parents that loved each other. Even when they were in argument, my sisters and I were in a room. My dad never disrespected my mom. Like, we heard them. They thought we would sleep.
Yeah.
Mom never raised her voice. You know, even in our Creole language, never. It was conversations that were hard conversations.
But it was with respect.
I'm talking about coming from a father that if my sisters and I were arguing, he would call a family meeting. We'll pray first, and then let's talk about it. You come from same mom, same dad. God calls us to love. So if I talk to somebody that is trashy, reckless, or raggedy, that's on my own.
Okay.
Not because I don't know what it looks like. But what I realize is that men out here, it's an ego boost. So a lot of times it's, hey, you know, let me see if why is Esther, this fine girl, not in a relationship, not doing this, that, these, and those. Let me see if I can talk to her. But it's to boost their ego.
Right.
Just to say, oh, and it's literally, truly just getting to know. Not anything more than that.
It doesn't go past the surface.
It doesn't. It's getting to know. We're going out on dates, whatever that looks like. But I know what I want. You know, I know what I want. And when I start to hold people accountable to their word,
they fall off.
You came in real strong because you knew I don't play that. But then it wasn't genuine because your strength is now leaving. And I'm not. How we cut up as a friend is exactly what I give a man.
Okay.
And then you just get the romance part. The romance part of it being the fact that it's cute and intimate, and we're not talking sexual.
Absolutely.
We're talking about intimacy,
the conversation. Absolutely.
The conversation that with these men at my age, I'm 35, going to be 36. It's wild what these men think. You either have people who are.
My daughter talks about it all the time.
Horrible.
She talks about it all the time. I'm so glad that I am out. I couldn't even. I wouldn't even
child.
have a man.
I'm
I
telling you.
know they wouldn't put up with me. Thank you, baby, again.
Oh, brother. You know,
Because I wouldn't know how to date in the climate right now. Do you
It's
want
horrible.
kids?
I do, but I was just telling my friend, like a lot of my friends, closest friends to me, have kids now. Like they're married, have kids, and that's something that they yearn for, and I love that, and I support. I'm an auntie and godmommy to a lot of my friends. I get this question all the time. You don't have kids, Mufasa? I have my little dog.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, you can have kids. Yeah, I want one with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's my response. And I hear some people also say, you know, you don't have that. Yeah, that's cute, but I want one with my husband. Because here's the thing. We need to stop trying to have children and creating all these beautiful creations without them seeing a 2-parent home.
Absolutely.
That matters. And God forbid, if you do not have a partner or husband to help you through that, there's no shade. I'm not shaming you. I'm not, things happen. And that's what God has designed for you
right.
in your life. But no, I would want my child to see a 2-parent home where a man loves his
hard.
mom.
But with the
know?
economy is hard. And
Yeah.
then I was absent of that love that you're talking about, and then we'll wrap up. But I do know that I see how my husband loves my daughters
Yeah.
and how he loves Anile is
Yeah.
amazing. How he takes her to school, how she waits with just glee in her eyes to show and tell her accomplishments to Papa. So I know what you mean. I see how that can affect someone in the dating pool that really has those standards. Well, all things love, babies, and men.
Literally. And that's why, there are guys
Okay.
that are trying, but
All right. Well, good luck, guys. You know what she wants.